I am Wendy Waters Cannell, the luckiest CEO of the YWCA Hamilton. And this is Dr. Julia Goodman's HERstory. Dr. Julia Goodman, our founder, who was one of the first female physicians in the city of Hamilton, who noticed that when young women were coming in from the rural areas, they might be a little bit more at risk in industrial environments. So she decided to educate them. And then that led to housing. And 125 years later, we're here, still living her mission. Predominantly YWCA's mission, which is eliminating racism and empowering women, promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all, manifests predominantly as racial justice programming, empowerment, and advocacy for youth in our public school districts. It also looks like an equity alliance where we come together and talk about how do we reduce incidents of hate in our community so everyone feels welcomed to live, work, and play here. But what we're most well known for is our domestic violence work. We're the only shelter in Butler County, and we take all families and their dependent children and pets and ensure a path to peace and a life without violence. And then lastly, we have permanent supportive housing here in this glorious building, which houses individuals who have been chronically homeless and have disabilities. We serve the most vulnerable in our society and give them a place of peace and safety. I think the most inspiring thing for me about Dr. Julia Goodman is her pioneering spirit to be a physician in 1900. That took some intestinal fortitude to overcome all of those barriers as a woman to be a leader in the field of medicine. But to go beyond that and look within her community where other women might actually be struggling, and to take her own personal resources and invest in housing and education and training to ensure they had a better future is what is truly a legacy about that woman's existence on this planet through now. Dr. Goodman began by renting individual homes for these young women coming in from the farms who were seeking employment at the turn of the century during the Industrial Revolution. But she quickly outpaced those homes and then began to look at a centralized building where everyone could live together in a sense of community. And that culminated in 1931 in the 244 Dayton Street building, which is this glorious architectural gem still located in our city that housed, I believe at the time, almost 90 women living in that building. However, that building aged and the needs of our society changed. And I'm quite certain the progressive thinking of Dr. Julia Goodman would have agreed that it was time to create a better and more appropriate living environment for the people who needed us. And so that is how we ended up here at 1570 Grand Boulevard, creating a brand new campus with all one-bedroom apartments for these individuals who live here with us, as well as the domestic violence shelter. We were founded in 1900, but it took almost 2 years for that process to unfold. And sadly, she passed away just 2 weeks before we were chartered as the YWCA Hamilton. My hope is that her vision, her strategy, her grit, her grace, and her determination are inspiration for generations yet to be born, because this is an evolving mission that works to create one world where we all feel welcomed and included and have opportunities to better our lives and be safe. Dr. Julia Goodman recognized that young women were going to be harmed by those who could take advantage of them. The sad part of the story is we're here 125 years later, still doing the same work. That has to change. I think for nearly 100 years, it may have been the best kept secret of Butler County, the work of protecting vulnerable women and children from harm, charting a course, a life of peace without violence, happened without a lot of fanfare or advertising. So of course it's important to have the support of the community, because without it, that work doesn't go on. Dr. Julia Goodman would have been an elder in my community. Elders build societies of hope. That's what we want to be, because we owe it to her, and we owe it to our society, and we owe it to ourselves.